can go ahead and start. I'm using this 100 light LED strand. And so you'll notice that it comes also with the remote so that you can remote control changing the patterns and stuff, which I think is pretty cool. And I'm just going to set that out of the way for right now. And yeah, then you basically have the entire thing right here. So the strand of LEDs here and USB. I think I'm going to move Blob out of the way for a little bit. Maybe Blob can be in the corner here looking on. And then I will try and get us a little bit closer here. There we go. So it's a little difficult. I might try to mess with my lighting a little bit because we put a dark background. That's better because it's also shiny. So yeah, first, this is all like twist tied together. So I undo the twist ties here. And we're starting from the USB end. So you can just kind of like leave this to the side a bit and start with the LED end. So I'm showing instructions for how I start with the knitted version. And I know that if you're a knitter, you would probably start by like doing some sort of a cast on and things like that. But we don't actually do that here because we can cheat. So I take the first LED, and there is kind of a right side and a wrong side to this LED. Ooh, I might use microscope view for this one. Let's see. So I'm going to go over here and look under the microscope. Yeah, okay. So this is the right side of the LED, which is more domed. You can kind of feel that. Wrong side of the LED, I'm kind of using knitter terms, is flatter. So it's hard to tell the difference in video, but you can definitely kind of see it more in person. And if I put it up on its edge like this, you can see that, you know, there's clearly the flat side here, and which is like the wrong side. And then this one is the right side. The LED lights up from that side. So it's brighter when viewed, you know, directly like this than it is like that. So we'll be, as we go along, we'll be twisting the LEDs so that this right side is out on all of them so that it's as bright as it can be. Okay, so now back to workbench. So the first thing I do is I take the first LED on the strand here, and we might actually make that a little bit longer so that it's less in the way in a second. And I just take it and I make a loop with it like that, and I twist it 3 times. 1, and those are half twists. 2, 3.
And Carrie, you always start with the LED closest to the controller, not the, okay.
LED closest to the controller. There's a little bit of a thicker thing here where it's spliced in, and you can see that like a little bit better with the microscope. So the strand here is sort of spliced into the wire of the controller here. And you want to make sure that you're not twisting this part because you don't want to stress that part. You just want to twist like just a little bit above it. So, and you'll see there's heat shrink tubing around it, which ends about here, and you want to twist about there.
Bob has a question.
Oh, yes. So right side means it will finally be outside. Good question, Bob. And wrong side means it'll be inside. Yep. All right, so I did that. Blobby here was made with a 200 light strand, and I used eight stitches, essentially made the circumference, made the tube that I ended up knitting. This I'm using is a 100 strand, and I want to kind of make a little baby blob because, you know, Deborah's baby blob was so freaking adorable. So I'm just going to do a 6 stitch one today. But you can do however many stitches you want around. You could make like, you know, any shape blob you want. You can make a long skinny blob. So, you know, that would be fewer stitches around, or you could make like a short fat blob and that would be more stitches around. Whatever, blobs don't care. Do what you want. All right, so then I basically take the next LED and bend it in a loop like this and do the same thing, 3 half twists. 1, 2, 3. And like, as we're going, we can make sure that the right side is out. I'm ending up with the wrong side out more often than not. So you just bend them around like this. and make sure that that nice roundish, roundish bulbous side is out. So I got 2, and I got 3, 1, 2, 3, and I got 4 going on here. Just giving myself a little bit of wire here. And like, kind of like knitting, sometimes your wire is going to get like twisted up and it's going to want to tangle with things, and just like give yourself a little more space here. Just unwind just a little bit more. And, if it starts to like twist up on itself during this, just like you're, knitting with like different colors with Fair Isle or stranded work, and they kind of tend to wrap up around themselves, just like let it unwrap or help it a little bit by twisting it in the other direction. So just think of it as yarn. It's just yarn of a different format. 2, 3. So it's 4. Make sure I'm in the camera here. 2, 3. It's 5. I'm only doing 6, and they kind of naturally will start to form this circle, which is good. 2, 3. All right. Now I have like this sort of little flowery thing going on, and I'm gonna twist them all so that they're the right side out. 2, 4, 5, 6. Cool. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give myself like a little more space here from the USB side of things. You might also hear me call that like the controller side, because it has like a little microcontroller in it, and it's also where you control, this is the button that controls which pattern you display. So I am going to zip tie it back up though, so it doesn't, or not zip tie it, but twist tie it back up so that it doesn't come completely unraveled on me and create a mess. Yarn management and wire management are very similar. So there we go, twisting that back up. All right, but now I have like a little more length here, and it's not, this part is not in my way as much. Cool. All right, so back to my little flowery thing. What do we got going on here? So we got 4 things going on here. That's awesome. I'm upside down. Make sure you got your right side out. And let's see. So that's the beginning. That's the end. And I'm like a little bit crossed up here. So let me twist myself. So yeah, you do want the wires exiting this, but I like to put the wires, the entry wires, kind of facing up like this right now for this step. And then I'm just going to take this wire that's coming from my active strand, and I'm just gonna like twist it around this beginning wire a couple of times. And you will have to kind of manipulate the USB side and your strand side around each other a little bit, so to prevent everything from twisting up. But I'm going to do like 3 twists there as well. And I'm going to try to do it kind of as close to my final twisted loop here as I can, because I kind of want, I want as much space I want as much like wire as I can have between here and this LED, and I'll show you why in a moment. So, because the first LED is a little wonky, so I'm twisting it that way, and I'm finding it's going to be easier to take the USB through and twist it that way and leave this here so that I'm not untangling this. So like I'll twist that like once, maybe just through twice, just so it kind of like sticks there. And again, you don't want to twist it so much. You don't want that twist to be like going up into your splice here. You want it just shy of that. So now I have sort of like this weird misshapen shape, and that's okay. Don't worry. Like don't worry about perfection. Blobs don't care. They're blobs. So, and this is the butt, so it's the ugly end. Okay. And now
all blobs are beautiful, Carrie. All blobs are beautiful.
Blob butts are cute. So now I'm going to do like the first bit of knitting, and I'm going to take my first LED that's coming from my supply here, and it's going to be underneath this loop here. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to just pull it through this loop a bit. Now this first one is going to be off center. It's okay. But I'm going to pull it through till about half of the distance, half of the wire between these two LEDs is through. So like right about there. All right.
Liz called them happy little blobs. It is kind of a Bob Ross. It is as close to Bob Ross as electronics ever gets, would be blob making, I think.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. Yes. All right. And then I find that it's easier to sort of pre-bend your loop rather than start to immediately pull it through the next one. So I take from the middle, again, between these two LEDs, from the middle, bend it here, and then take this one and from behind, because I'm creating knit stitches. You could do it from in front and create purl stitches. That's fine too. But just to be consistent about it and to like teach everybody who's not familiar with knitting like one way, I'm taking it from behind and putting it through. And then as I go, I'm just like twisting my LEDs so that they're the right side out. And same again, I find that it's nice to kind of pinch right here with my hands and like kind of, you know, maybe just shy of that halfway point, maybe just about at that halfway point. And then bend it again to the other point that's halfway between the LEDs. And then just put it right through. And that's basically it. Now repeat this 100 times. Almost 100 times. I'll show you, I'll have Deborah show you like her zip tie method, which as you can see creates like a little bit of a denser LED structure. Like the knit ones are a little bit more spread out. And then we'll talk for a little bit and then I'll show you on the one that I've already made on this guy, how I bound off. But I mean, it's basically, I mean, if you're a knitter, you know how to bind this off, right? You just put the tail end through all of your active loops and then you just twist it around itself and that's it. So there, you already know how to bind off. Yeah, Liz, this is exactly knitting in the round. It's just doing it manually with your fingers. That's all it is. So I have my tube here. So you could also, I don't know, feed me. And I have 2 LEDs left on the strand here. So I've just knit in the round until I got 2 left. And so now to bind off, I'm just going to thread it through all of my like open loops here. So instead of like knitting this LED through my next stitch, I'm just going to put it through. And so I'm doing it, you know, inside to outside, and then I'll do the next one the same way. And here it's very easy to accidentally miss that you've dropped a stitch. So just make sure that your stitches are connected before you thread it through. And going around, and going around. And I think I got one more. Yep. And so then I just pull it, and then I basically pull it until I kind of have like one, you know, LED left. And I love how they end the strand on an LED too. And so now when I'm back to sort of the original here, I just start wrapping it around. So I like wrap it around. I don't cinch it too tight. I don't cinch it like super tight like I would a hat, because it's kind of cute if he has like a little mouth here, you know? So I leave him a little mouth, and then I just wrap the LED around like maybe 2 or 3 times, not too many times. And then I'll kind of wrap it back on itself. This is new, hot off the press technique. Wrap it back on itself until it's just, you know, nicely bound off.